I'm Chris, I'm an addict.
I'm Gracie, and I'm not, and welcome back to episode 6. We're glad to have you. If you've listened to all these, thank you, because we're very grateful for that. We're grateful for everybody that takes the time to listen to all of them, or 1 or 2, whatever. We're very thankful for that, so we want to express that to you guys. But also, we would be very grateful if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel once we get to 1,000 subscribers. Once again, we're going to do a giveaway, and we're so excited to do that, and it's something we really want to do, so please help us get there so we can do that. But yeah, make sure you follow our other social medias. If you're watching on YouTube, the link's in the description for each social media. If you're on Facebook, you can click one link and it'll give you a list to all of them. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, our Facebook and YouTube are both K-squared. So.
All right. So some of the things we wrote down some of the things that we wanted to discuss.
We got notes today. We're fancy.
Because we just wanted to try to have some topics that, struggles, things that we both have dealt with. Like one of the things that I think is an underlying, and this is just my opinion, so it might not be right, but I've always felt like everybody that I have met in treatment, in jail, and like the underlying issue is like some sort of like self-worth or self-esteem issue, like,
or I would say even just trauma.
Yeah, like an event in their life has happened, or multiple events where it is like crushed their self-worth or self-esteem. And then, when you put those drugs on top of that and it numbs it, like you get this false sense of confidence that like represses all that stuff. So like I think, a lot of healthy people that I know learn healthy coping skills, and not that I wasn't taught them, like I just didn't use them, and it took like a lot of years of therapy and self-awareness to like recorrect like all of those unhealthy coping skills that I had to just get me through trauma. So we were talking earlier about how like going through school, like people were like, I was picked on. Well, that crushed somebody's self-esteem. Like, but then you have the bully on the other hand. It's like, well, there's a reason why they're the bully. Like they're, like I remember even thinking that as like a kid. Like when I would see people like picking on somebody, I'm like, man, they probably are going through some stuff at home.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And that like leads into adulthood. Like I don't care what anybody says, there are bullies and there are victims. Like like, and how do you cope with that? Like people are mean. That I'm just like,
that's facts.
Like just I don't know, since being clean this time, like I just try to be kind to the next person, because like you really don't know what people are going through.
I agree.
Like if somebody's angry at you, they're probably mad at their spouse or mom. Like, you're not mad at me, you're mad at your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quit projecting it on me. Alright, so
there's that. You want to play that again and see if we can get, like, if we have telepathy? Like, I'm going to think of a color, you think of a color, let's see what we say, okay?
Alright, 1, 2, 3.
Red.
It's over.
One more time.
1, 2, 3.
Green. You waited.
Okay.
Okay, back to real content.
Okay. So, our second we were talking about like different, like in recovery, like the milestones that we're both getting to, like, because there's things that I missed out on. Like I was in jail when you went to prom. Like we literally had my mom did like a video chat while I was in jail, and although that was like humiliating, like I was grateful that I got to see that. But from your point of view,
I remember it was really upsetting that you were in jail for my prom, just because I feel like in my head, I mean, for one, you're my stylist, so I missed out on that, but that's okay. No, I'm just kidding, but
you're not. It's fine.
But I remember when the time was near, because at that point you were in jail for a couple months, so we didn't know like when you would get out. And, obviously it was the end of my senior year, and all these big, huge events were coming up in my life, like graduation. And I was not only graduating from high school, but I was graduating from college with my associate's degree. So there were huge things coming up in my life that I wanted you there for. And I remember, like, every single night I would pray to God, and I was like, God, if she can't be home from prom, just please let her be able to let me walk across the stage. And so you didn't get to see me at prom. You weren't home for my prom, but you got out of jail the day after my prom. And I think that's crazy to even just, like, going back to, like, our faith and stuff. Like, I mean, it just, what do I want to say with that? Like,
like, just the sequence of events for, like, it to be, like, a spiritual, like, all this stuff is so spiritual, and is, for me anyway, has had me, like, connected more with my higher power, because all of these things have happened that just, like, it's not just...
I agree. And even, like, I mean, I fully think, like, seeing you go through addiction has showed me God in a whole different way that I don't think I ever would have known if I wouldn't have seen you go through that. Just, like, situations like that I know were because of him. You know, like, he is the reason you got out of jail the you know, a day or two after my prom, or, like, the night I drove by and you were walking down the street. Like, he is the reason for those things. Those things don't just happen by coincidence.
Right. And, you know, I think whenever I felt like a huge weight of, like, what the selfishness that my addiction had brought when I did see you, like, dressed up, and I remember sitting in a jail cell, like, praying for the same thing, like, you know, not get me out of here, because that foxhole prayer stuff doesn't work, but just please place me where I need to be placed, you know, I want to stop hurting people. And I think, like, that I just feel like that was the first time that I was really genuine. Like, I just wanted to stop hurting people and myself, you know, like, you know, I looked really bad when I went in this last time, and, like, you know, but I was grateful for that. I'm getting off on a tangent, but, like, I looked terrible, and I was grateful that I did, because finally, like, the outside of me matched the inside, you know, like, I mean, when people be like, God, you look terrible, that's how I feel, you know, like, but back to the milestone stuff, like, I'm so grateful, and, like, being in recovery, like, I don't miss those things, like, those important events, like, you know, things that my kids are getting to do, like, you graduate in college, I mean, like, with the associate's degree, what else? Just, you get, like, you sharing pictures of you, like, moving to college, and, like, you know, just holidays, and just being present for everything. Like, literally
to go on vacation. All of us went on a family vacation this summer. That was so much fun. That's definitely something, I feel like even if you were able to go before, you wouldn't have been able to be present. Yeah,
and, you know, I'm in drug court right now, and I was so grateful that they let me, you know, go to Florida with my family, because it had been 10 years since I had been able to go on vacation, and the last time that I did go to the beach, I was detoxing off methadone, so it was awful. Like, I was awful to everybody else. I made everybody else miserable. So, like, just being able to be there and, like, get to, you know, just like, being present, like, I'm just like, overwhelmed with gratitude just for that stuff, and, like, being able to say, hey, I want you to go, and, like, being financially okay for you to be able to go. Like, I've never in my life been able to even pay for an ice cream for anybody else. Like, you know, so it just feels good that, like...
You bought us ice cream and a whole vacation.
I did get ice cream one night. That was expensive ice cream.
And it was good.
No, the financial stuff isn't everything, but, like, it does make me feel good that I don't have to, like...
But it's because it was stuff that you couldn't do before, and you know, like, now you can.
Looking back at, like, my childhood, and I've heard you say the same thing, like, not necessarily that I felt different, but, like, in school, I had lots of friends. I played sports, like, things seemed like they came easy, but, like, there was still a part of me that, like, felt so disconnected from anything. Like, I would go to a party or, like, a gathering or whatever, and, like, I just didn't feel like I fit in. Like, I had these, like, thoughts that, like, they don't want you here. Like, nobody really likes you. Like, just, like, intrusive thoughts. And, like, And like over a period of time, like something would happen that would like feed those thoughts, like, and I took everything personal. That's where like I think that stems from like some trauma that obviously like those were just like.
And see, I feel like I've like went through some of those like very similar things, but I've kind of like shifted my thinking in, I feel like, more recent years to not think those things. Like before, when I was younger, I took everything personal. I let people walk all over me. I mean, that's just how it was. And I feel like I have learned how not to do those things. And I don't even really know how. I almost feel like you, in a way, have helped me do that. Well, really.
A therapist helped me, so I was just passing along the message.
Well, it worked.
Like, a very important lesson that I learned was like, where, you know, you say you took things personal, and so did I. Like, I came to this realization that like when people were mean, or like, and it was there were valid points to, like, it wasn't me just feeling like a victim. Like, people were mean, people did things like I finally realized that that had nothing to do with me. Like, you know, abuse that I went through, like verbal abuse, like none of that had anything to do with me. Like, that was their projection of their insecurities on me. And so when I finally learned that and was able to just, you know, not take it personal, like that's your stuff, that's what you're dealing with, you're gonna have to go with it, and I don't always have to speak on that, you know what I mean? Like, just respect them where they are and move along. Like, and that's the thing, like, if like things we talk about, if someone doesn't feel receptive to like the message, like, then that message isn't for them. Like,
right, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, I know that I'm not gonna be like, everything I say is not gonna, like, everybody's not gonna like it. And before, I would never get on here because I wouldn't want to like step on somebody's toes, or, you know, I wouldn't want anybody to judge me, and I just don't care anymore. Like, you know, like, and that's just even with friendships. Like, I don't take anything personal. Like, I put energy towards the people that I know want me around and care about me. And I think that's what you have to do. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. And I think too, like, a lot of, like, really, you have taught me a lot of those things. Like, I feel like from a young age, I feel like you taught me those things from a young age. Maybe you couldn't accept it for yourself, but you passed those things on to me, which helped me. Like, I feel like we've shared like a lot of stories that are like, you know, like, I mean, not necessarily like traumatic, but like hard experiences we have been through together. But there's so many times that we have so many like positive and good things over the years too. Like, not everything that has happened to us is negative, but like there's so many things like that I agree. Like, I remember like when things would happen in my life, you would tell me, you know, like, that has nothing to do with you, the reason somebody said this to you or whatever, like, that's them. And I've realized that, like, now I can look at a situation like you said, and when somebody is saying something hurtful to me, I don't even let myself get upset over it. I mean, yeah, I might be sad for a second, but then I tell myself, like, that's them, their pain, and honestly, like, that's what they have to live with every day. Like, that's not me, so I can't let that affect me like that. That's them, so I'm not even going to let it affect me, because why should I let that bring me down?
Yeah. And you know, like, you talking about, like, I can give advice, but I couldn't apply it to my life before. Like, I think a lot of the thing, like, when you were younger, and a lot of the things that you went through that I would help you with, I feel like was things that I wish somebody would have said to me when I was going through that. And not that they didn't. A lot of people gave me, I mean, I had a good childhood and stuff, but, like, it was just things that I had learned over the years that, like, that I wish I could have told my younger self, you know what I mean? And you know what's crazy? Like, my counselor one time told me, like, I kept questioning, like, dude, where have I gone wrong? Like, I'm digging deep to try to figure out, like, I don't want to relapse anymore, you know what I mean? And, you know, I had all this education on how to stay sober, but again, like, I couldn't apply it. And she gave me literally the best advice that I've ever had. She's like, Krista, there is a little girl that's sitting in a corner who doesn't, you know, who has a lot of pain, and we're gonna walk in there, grab her hand, and walk her out. And like that, like, that's exactly what had to happen. Like, and so anytime I have like those negative thoughts, I know it's like that little girl like crying out, and I think a lot of women and I mean everybody like deal with that. Like again, it boils down to like everybody has some event or some trauma or something that you're just trying to know how to live.
So I feel like there are a lot of people who don't understand like an addict's point of view or lifestyle or whatever. I feel like there's a lot of discrimination and like controversy almost about when it comes to an addict getting a job, and I think that they think like, and even like from a like boss's point of view, I mean I'm not a boss, but like but like look
I'm a boss.
but like thinking about it from like somebody who's hiring somebody in, like they think I feel like there's always that thought like they're gonna be lazy, they're gonna steal, they're gonna not show up, they're gonna be late, you know, they're not gonna put in very much effort.
And someone in active addiction, that's gonna happen eventually, you know what I mean? Because I've had jobs where I literally did drugs on a desk at a job that I had because I was in active addiction.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. I got fired. So,
That's a little shocking. I mean.
But I do understand what, like, I've experienced.
You understand why you got fired now?
I understood then. No. That's awful. Like, that's so embarrassing. So, I've experienced the things that you're talking about, like even in recovery, and it's hard because like I have like a criminal history that stems back from 2010, and then I got caught the same case. I mean, self-inflicted. I'm not saying like I'm not trying to be a victim, but like if someone runs a background check on me, it's over. Like I'm hit.
And that makes it hard for you, or I mean, it did make it hard for you to find a job, and even. In the future it will, yeah.
I feel like that it narrows down job opportunities when you have that criminal record, and that, you know, there is like solution, like expungement is out there, like those things are possibilities. People do that, and I mean, some people are on diversion, so they get a chance. I, on the other hand, have just continued to stay in trouble, so you know
opportunities haven't been able for you.
So. But, like, you have an associate's degree, and you can go wherever, and they're gonna, you know, gladly hire you. Like, I have this same degree, and if I go to a job, like...
They're gonna question you.
And what's crazy is, like, before we get to criminal history, like, the employer will, like me, like, we're looking so forward, and then we have to come to that point where it's like, well, I need to go ahead and let you know that, like, if you run a background check, and their whole demeanor changes, you know, it's just like, sorry. And I understand, like, the corporate won't allow them to hire, but, like, I just wish that I wish that didn't just, because some of the addicts that I know that I've met are some of the most talented, well-educated, like, creative people that I've ever met in my life, and hardworking.
I agree 100%. Like, when I've had jobs as, like, a teenager and stuff, I have learned that firsthand, and it's something, like, I mean, I have pinpointed, and I feel like any addict I have met is a very creative person in some sense, and I agree, very smart.
And, you know, like, working now, after having that, I feel like that I'm always trying to work twice as hard because I feel like I have something to prove, like, and that's exhausting. Like, I find myself, especially, like, right now, I find myself, like, going overboard at work and trying to just outdo the day before, you know what I mean? And sometimes it leaves me like really tired at the end of the day.
And I feel like also like in a job you have to like watch yourself like 10 times more, or you feel like you do, because there are situations that could happen that could lead to things being pointed at you or fingers being pointed at you just because of your background.
Yeah, like I've experienced like where there was like a theft, and I knew about it, and I felt like I needed to go immediately and let, you know, my supervisor know, because like obviously if something comes up missing, like I have theft all over my record. So right. And I'm not saying that they don't, rightfully so, like that they don't, like I would be a target, but like, you know, at what point does it become like where you've done your time and like you know,
You've
like how can you move on to a fresh start? And that's the struggle I feel like a lot of people in recovery have, is that, you know, we end up living off the government or needing assistance because we can't find a job that pays well enough to support our family, you know what I mean? And
I just personally feel like there are a bunch of uneducated and really ignorant people to just about addiction in general. Like, if you just take, like, if somebody were to just, who doesn't understand or is quick to judge why an addict can't get a job or they're living off the government, whatever, I think if you just took a step back and took a walk in their shoes and just thought for a second, like, and tried to realize their perspective on things, I think it would open a bunch of people's eyes. Like, I think that's what people don't think about when they're quick to judge those things. And I think, like, in general, like, addiction does not discriminate.
No. And, you know, like, those of us that have criminal records, like, we just got caught.
Right,
you know,
yeah.
Like, people are doing that stuff all the time and just not getting caught. And I'm grateful I got caught, because I'd be dead if not.
And I think, like, the people who are judging, it could just as easily be them. It could just as easily be their child or their parent or sister or brother, and then they would have a different perspective, really. Like, Let's be honest, they really would. But, like, me and my mom were having a conversation, like, a couple weeks ago, and I remember telling her, like, everyone thinks that that addiction discriminates until it happens to them.
Yeah. Or, like, I remember being a kid and, like, not a teenager even, like, and seeing, like, and I never thought I would go through the things that I went through. I didn't think that could happen to me. And now, like, no one's safe. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean to say that, like, even being funny. Like, nobody's safe. Like,
I agree.
I think ultimately just showing compassion and kindness to the next person. Like, that's what it all boils down to.
Just
like,
do your part and be kind.
Yeah. There's always an underlying issue why somebody did. I mean, a lot of the things that I have done I was on straight survival mode. Like I don't mean to, I'm being dramatic, but I was like an animal, you know what I mean? Like, just, that's what I had to do to get through the next day.
Right.
And until I was taken out of that environment, like,
that's all you need to do.
Yeah. And I don't live, or I'm trying to learn not to live on survival, live. I'm trying to just live, you know? Yeah. Get off that fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
Because I'll be flying.
Like a bird. But anyways, this wraps up our episode. We hope you enjoyed. This one was kind of like a laid back, more like simple one. I feel like we've gotten a lot more comfortable with this, so we hope you're enjoying that. This one I feel like we were really comfortable because it's late at night and we're kind of slap happy, but yeah, but don't forget to follow all of our other social medias, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, we have Instagram, we have TikTok, we got it all, so follow us everywhere.
And the next few episodes, or maybe not the next one, but we started to reach out and branch out to other people that, you know, we're going to try to be able to do more like question and answer type thing, and like try to get different perspectives, because you guys hear our stories and like what we go through, and we'll continue to share that stuff, but we want to start bringing in like other experience, like other stories, because to show how many people are affected by this. And
once again, please, like, if you feel like you could come on here and do this, please reach out to us. Like, we would love to have you.
Yeah, and we're trying to figure out how to do like kind of like a video streaming. That way, if, you know, if somebody's not local, and I mean, I don't just want anybody at my apartment.
Yeah.
But that we could figure out another avenue to try to get more people in here. So.
But thank you.
Time to go to bed.
Good night.
That was alright.
Yeah. I kind of like that.